Hello and welcome to Real Watchers Movie Club. My name is Garrett.
And I'm Kevin.
And we are your hosts. Movie Club is a show we pick a movie every week and discuss it, just like a book club. On today's show, we are continuing our May month-long theme of looking at films directed by women. And our film this week is the romantic drama Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Our thoughts and more are coming up on Movie Club. Released in 2019, Portrait of a Lady on Fire was directed by Celine Sciamma and stars Noémie Merlan, Adèle Haenel, and Luana Bajrami. Sorry for any mispronunciation of those names. On an isolated island in Brittany at the end of the 18th century, a female painter is obliged to paint a wedding portrait of a young woman. The film currently has a 4.4 out of 5 on Letterboxd and is ranked number 50 on its top 500. Before we dive into our thoughts, we do want to issue a spoiler warning for this movie because we will be discussing plot points, twists, revelations, and everything else that comes up on the show. There is also one part of this movie that may be a trigger for some people, some sensitive content. So we'll go ahead and make that aware kind of at the beginning of the show. But if you haven't seen it yet, go watch it, then come back. But stay tuned to the end of the show to find out what movie we're covering next week because, spoiler alert, it's another woman-directed movie.
It's another woman.
Yeah, it's another woman. Alrighty, Kevin, so this was my pick this week, and you know what? Honestly, it's one of those movies that I feel like every cinephile has in like their top 10 movies of the 2010s, or like, you know, a lot of kind of not deeper fans, but like fans that like indie films or foreign films always place this one at like the very top. So I was very excited about this because I've heard nothing but good things. Had you heard anything about this movie at all?
No, nothing.
Well, hey, there
nothing
we go.
At all.
Went in completely blind, and I'm happy to hear it. But we'll go ahead and we'll dive into what we think about the movie. But just go ahead and spoiler alert. You know, we are going to spoil this movie, but also, like I mentioned earlier, a sensitivity warning or a trigger warning. This movie does deal with the topic of abortion. So if you do have any proclivities against that, you know, you may want to skip this review. But let's go ahead and get into this movie because I'm just going to sum it up in one word. Wow.
It's I don't even know what to say. It makes you really think about what if a lot. Because especially back in these times, this was unheard of this relationship.
I mean, they were happening, but it was not like widely publicized or talked about, right? Like to kind of say that means that, you know, people who are LGBTQIA plus have not existed, which is just not true. But like, it's just not as openly discussed.
Yes.
Right. But I really like that part of it because I think that on one hand, it is relatable to a lot of people, more than just people who are lesbian or whoever else, you know, because this is, you know, we've all, or not all of us, but like a lot of people have had those kind of flings, right? They've had that one romance that lasted a summer and then they never saw that person again, or they did see that person again and thought about what could have been and how both of you secretly long to go back to what you had, but you know that you can't. It's a very powerful feeling. And I think it's handled beautifully here. Yes. It's definitely, I'm going to say this, it's going to sound like a criticism, but I mean this as a compliment. This movie is slow.
It is. I was going to say that. It is slow, but you have to build the characters up to actually get to the end of this movie, because at the end of this fucking movie, the long ass shot on the other girl's face, and I don't know her. I forget her name. No, I don't know her name. Heloise's face when, oh my goodness, we'll talk about that later. But that shot is perfect.
Everything.
Perfect.
This movie is just gorgeous in so many different ways.
The house that they're in, the beach that they go to, it feels out, not of this earth. That's what it literally feels like. They have to get to a boat to get there.
Yeah, and I think that like it's slow, but it's intentional because this is someone who is coming to this island to do something that this woman does not want to happen. She does not want her portrait painted because that means that she's going to get married, which is not something she wants to do. And she ties that with a very traumatic memory of her sister, who it's never really quite explained whether or not she killed herself, but I think it's very heavily implied that she did. Because of it being like an arranged marriage or whatever, which is just, common at this time. But it's slow because that's how that relationship forms, not just romantically, but just interpersonally. Right? Like Kevin and I, our relationship, as friends, we're not romantic. Our relationship did not just immediately take off. Like there was definitely there's give and there's take, right? And then it gets to a point where we're like this, where we can just talk openly, and so it doesn't just happen overnight. And by doing that with the pacing of this movie and the kind of the screenwriting to kind of show that whole process over the course of like a week. Maybe like
6 days, I think it was.
Well, the mom is gone for 6 days, and that's when they have to repaint the photo, and that's when things really kick off.
Yeah.
Which I'll get to that in a second. But like, it's not a long period of time.
No.
And then like, but Celine, the director, does a really good job of making everything feel intentional and making everything feel important. And then it leads to their chemistry being perfectly achieved.
Well, even the little is it the sister? I don't know if it's a sister or a servant.
Servant,
yes. The servant plays such a big role, but has so little part to it. If that makes sense, she wants the artiste to get to know Heloise. Is that how you say her name?
Heloise, yeah, I believe that's. Yeah. I mean, we're not French, so
no.
It's also worth it to mention that this movie is French and it is in French, so.
But she wants to get the artist to know Heloise herself, make her laugh, because a lot of the other artists that that they talk about didn't just came here to do a portrait. They didn't get to know the person that is getting the portrait done, and I feel like that really set the tone off of like I kind of knew where it was going a little bit too, like they would fall in love with each other and have that little fling, but it was a thing of, you need to know this person because she is such a great person, even though she doesn't want to do this and she might get frustrated with you. But I know this person for who she really is. And the little things that did it, even playing the cards, the card game in the middle of the table, fantastic. It's only like a 2-minute shot, but you get to have so much emotion when the person wins, and everybody's just, it looks like they're having a good time, and kind of acting like a little family.
Yeah, and I think that there's another whole aspect to this movie that is expanded upon, and it was what I was talking about earlier, right? So when the mother leaves is really when a lot of stuff kicks off, right? That's when Heloise and Marianne move forward with their relationship in a lot of different ways, and then it's also when we witness the servant girl have or terminate her unwanted pregnancy. In from my perspective, in the way that I understand how that movie was approaching things, is that the mother represents patriarchal systems, like the way that the world worked at the time, unfortunately, and that system of governance has left. And so what you have left is a island full of women who just want to express themselves and be themselves. And it kind of, in a way, beyond just showing a really well done romance, is also a I don't want to say a fantasy, but it's like a microcosm of like a potentially matriarchal society. Right? This is the only chance that they have to be themselves, and to do what they want to do, to represent how they want to represent, to do what they want to do, be with who they want to be with, whatever it may be. And I think that's really heightened by the campfire, the bonfire sequence. Like, it's just them out celebrating, which maybe they wouldn't do if the kind of mother was there. I don't know if she's like a governess or whatever, but when she's gone, it's not exactly clear that it's, they do that when she's there, right?
Yeah.
So I really like that aspect of it. It's a beautiful and moving kind of thing. And also, I think that there's a lot to say about the sharing of trauma. There's women are more empathetic, than men on the whole, right? I'm not saying that men can't be empathetic, but like the way that women can talk to each other and share shared traumas and shared ideas and shared beliefs is really something beautiful. And I think this movie highlights that in a really well done way, especially, with Heloise opening up to Marianne about her sister and kind of everything going on. And then just kind of the way they work in the myth, I believe it's a Greek myth, about looking back and wanting to have the memory versus living with the person. Sometimes it's better to have the memory, which is leads into that last 10 to 15 minutes.
Oh my
which
gosh.
we should probably talk about, because that was everything in this movie.
It was great. I mean, I think they're at an opera or orchestra instrumental music program, but it's so good because she says on the other side of the building, she goes, I saw her, but she didn't see me. And then it just zooms in on Heloise's face, and I'm like, oh, she doesn't fucking remember. Like, she didn't look over once, anything like that. And then you start to see, which they played along with in the movie too. They found each other's like nervousness about each other's, like the artist opens her mouth a little bit more and breathes through her mouth and not her nose. The Heloise bites her lip and doesn't blink as much when she gets nervous. Stuff like that. When that happens with Heloise, and I'm like, oh my god, she fucking saw her. And then the tears start to come, and you can just see the chest being encaved and then coming out to take a deep breath and stuff like that. It was so powerful without even saying any words.
Well, you know why she starts crying, right?
Well, because she wants her.
Yeah, but why?
What do you mean why?
The music they're listening to is the
one
of music
from the
that they
piano.
played on the piano. Yeah. So that's she's. It's not that she forgets her; she vividly remembers her because the music starts playing. It's the same piece of music. So, brilliant. Again, it leans into the interpretation of the myth, right? That sometimes it's better to have memory than it is to actually be with the person. So, it's so good. And I do want to kind of compliment the film that it's not like you and I have seen romance in a lot of other movies, and typically there's a lot of cheesiness and like melodrama. It builds up to that sweeping kind of music before they lean in for that first kiss. Not this. This forgoes the melodrama. It forgoes cheesiness, and it goes straight for something that feels real. And
it feels natural.
And they don't even the first kiss happens like an hour and 20 minutes into a 2-hour movie. So it builds, and it's so like when that moment happens, like I almost wanted to cheer, right? Because it's like, because you're just like about damn time, right? It kind of the best way to think about this is that this kind of includes what would happen after, like Liz and the Bluebird. Like Liz and the Bluebird is everything that leads up in the first like hour and 20 minutes of this movie.
Yeah.
And then obviously this movie goes further beyond. But like when they actually are able to act on their urges, because again, that presence leaves the island and they're able to be themselves. It's fantastic. I do also want to talk about the behind the scenes stuff, the production design, the costumes, the direction, the screenwriting.
It's all brilliant. I mean, the costume design alone, with the very green dress that she always has to wear for the painting, or you can even get to where she has I don't know if it's like a vision of her in the hallways with the white dress, and then it goes away, so all of a sudden very catches your eye a lot. And then another thing that I really enjoyed was when they're by the bonfire and her dress catches on fire, and it's like that's the Portrait of the Lady on Fire. No, duh. But it was just the way that it happened. It didn't engulf her in flames. It was just at the tip and just slowly going up, because again, their emotions for each other were almost at its peak at that point.
Yeah, that was right before. Excuse me. It's right before it evolves into the next step, and it's brilliant. and the way that it's handled by Celine visually,
yeah, it's just
it's so good. And she's not only
superb.
She's not only directing the film, she's also writing it. The screenplay is really good. The way it addresses that, I want to say it's Greek myth, and how that works itself into the story, and just the dialogue between the two of them before and after they kind of decide to come together, is just incredible. And then I had to look up the cinematographer's name, Claire Mathon. Brilliant job with the camera. There's a shot with Marianne in like the foreground, and like that beachside cave, and then like Heloise starts like walking in there, and the way that that's laid out was just sticks in my head. And then obviously the shot of Heloise's dress on fire as she looks over the fire, and she's not concerned, she's not like scared or anything, is just absolutely brilliant. Everything is just it's so good about this movie. Like,
it is.
I really don't have too much to be critical of here. I think that maybe, just maybe, it might be a tad too slow at times. But like, I don't even know like where I would even begin to defend that criticism. Like, maybe in its first act, maybe at the very beginning of the movie, but that's it.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback off of that. It is slow. It is like a slow burner in the beginning, but then when like the mom leaves the island, that's when everything starts to pick up, and that's when the emotions start to pour in. Like that's where a lot of my points got knocked off, because I was like, okay, it's got to get going somehow or start some way. But then when the girls interact with, or the women interact with each other, that's when it started. I was like, oh, it's getting good. And that's like a 15-minute ordeal, is that first slow part. So again, you can't cut that out because she's in the boat, and it's just so good.
Yeah. All right, Kevin, this was my pick this week, so I'll go ahead and go first. I think this movie is absolutely fantastic. Everything from its production to the story to the characters to the performances. I had always heard good things about this movie, and I was just not expecting it to be this layered and this affecting. The chemistry between the two main characters is absolutely off the charts, and I appreciate how it skips over melodrama and some cheesiness that you find in other romantic movies. I also I forgot to mention this earlier, but the way that this movie has a lack of music and lets sounds be the accompaniment for their growing romance is absolutely brilliant. So I really love this movie. Really don't have any major criticisms, but I am going to give it a 99 out of 100, which is a 4.5 stars out of 5. One of the best feminist female-directed films I've ever seen. So it is up there. 99 out of 100.
Nice. Very good. Very good. Yeah. So piggyback off of you again. It is an absolutely gorgeous looking film as well. I loved all the paintings in the film. They look spectacular. Wish I could touch a paintbrush like that and make a line like how she was doing. I can't though. But cinematography was absolutely fantastic. The dresses, the attire that they're wearing, just the scenery shots are absolutely flawless for me. I will say though, it does start a little bit slow for me, just because it picks up because of the intensity of the romance between the two main characters. So that's where I docked points a little bit, but it's still a 92 out of 100. I mean, can't beat that. 4.5 stars out of 5 for me.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. So that's going to bring us to the end of this show. What did you think of Portrait of a Lady on Fire? Go ahead and leave those comments down in the comment section down below. Just remember to be respectful of one another, because, hey, you should just do that. Next week, we are continuing our May month-long theme of looking at female-directed films, and our next film is the award-winning thriller Anatomy of a Fall, which I'm super excited to watch. I know Kevin is too. So make sure to watch it before next week so you're not spoiled. And again, thank you so much for watching. We do have this show that goes live every single Friday at 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and our live stream goes live every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So thank you for your subscription. Thank you for your viewing. I know we've been growing subscriber-wise, so thank you all for joining us on this journey. And we'll see you all next time. But until then, make sure to keep those eyes on the screen.